The Wednesday week is sponsored by Oddballs, a Speciality. Go to www.oddballsaspeciality.com.
There's a chance here, a great save, a turner from McClare. Might come, a terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brentford against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we have Victoria. Hello there, my dear.
Hello, my lord.
And we also have Edward. Hello there, dear old boy.
Good evening, your lordship. Are we well?
Very well, thank you. And James, how the devil are you?
Greetings, very well, very well.
Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on with some Wednesday chat. Straight into it tonight. We've got plenty to go at. Let's crack straight on with the Fulham game. What a wonderful game that was.
Right, I feel the need to apologise straight away because listening back to last week's podcast, I was a little bit grumpy. And I think I was probably tired from 2 trips to Lancashire in the space of like 3 days is enough to wear anyone down, isn't it? So I think I was just tired from Bolton the night before and I was a bit grumpy. And I think I was a bit more negative and I was losing a bit of faith. But I said...
Spending too much time with me, that's what it is.
I think it is. I think you are single-handedly wearing me down. No, and I said last week we need, or for me personally, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, we needed the win on Saturday to do it, and boy did we get it. We've been threatening to do that for the last couple of games, and I was so pleased, so pleased, because the performance was top notch. We got the result that we deserved. The only negative really is the fact that 3-2 actually flattered Fulham a bit, because we could have easily won that game 3-4-0. And yeah, I mean, I can throw a ton of superlatives at it because we were great, and I'm dead happy because we really deserved that.
Absolutely. Eddie, I noticed you popped a little tweet out to your daughter who was thoroughly enthralled by the game.
Yeah. So, well, she's not the greatest judge of Sheffield Wednesday performances. Clearly, that's my role. But she decided for probably the second time in recent history to go to sleep underneath my seat on the North Stand. I think actually it was a protest because usually the most exciting part of the game for her is singing Hi Ho Sheffield Wednesday. And then obviously because of the minutes silence / applause / celebration for the life of Ron Springer, everything kind of got knocked off kilter. And as a result, we kind of half sang it in an a cappella style, but that wasn't enough for her. So she basically took the hump and disappeared underneath the seats for the entire 90 minutes, which, coincidentally meant that I didn't miss all 3 of the goals, which would usually happen because I'd be sorting her iPad out for her or putting her coat on or doing something else. So I managed to see the game. And as James says, we were pleasantly surprised, weren't we? Because all of the good positive points that came out of Burnley and Bolton were there. We did that. We built on that. And guess what? We also managed to score the goals. So, it was a real feel-good day in the sun, wasn't it?
I must admit, for the last 20 odd years, I would be so jealous of Izzy getting a nap underneath the seats and not being judged for it. Funnily enough, people frown on me when I do it. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. As a neutral, I would have sat and watched all 110 minutes or whatever it was of that match. I would have sat and watched every single second of it. I thought it was a great game. I thought as much as everyone was loving Jamie O'Hara, I love to hate him. But it was such a good game, and both teams were a good side, and I think it shows what our sort of competition is. And hell, we matched it. We absolutely matched it.
Do you know what it was? Do you know what won us that game? The fact that we've got the new blue and white nets. Last time we had blue and white nets was the promotion season, and we get the new blue and white nets, and we play like that.
Simple as that.
Far be it from me to try and inject a little bit of credibility to this podcast. I'm pretty sure that it's probably more about Ross Wallace, to be honest, who was possibly the greatest player that we've seen in blue and white stripes since that promotion season. That was an unbelievable performance from the man.
No, it was the nets. It was the nets.
I mean, the Wallace performance, we must say we did give the chap a bit of stick in previous weeks, aeroplanes and etc. etc. But it really was a belted performance, and it's also sort of shot him to the top of the list for assists in the league so far as well, with 10. So I think Whip It Like Wallace is certainly going to be something we're going to be looking out for cinema near you rather soon.
One of the funniest things, though, was there was a period of the game, I know we're being quite positive, there was a period of the game where we kind of did our typical Wednesday bit, where having really concentrated and executed our game plan for, kind of 20 minutes at a stretch, we then just have 3 minutes where we just go, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And Wallace decided that the best way that he could help the defensive effort was to basically arbitrarily pick a part of space at some point in his own half and just wait there until a Fulham player kind of ambled in his general direction. So rather than actually getting back and having any kind of defensive structure, he kind of played a zonal marking scheme where he went, well, okay, I can go 10 yards in every direction here. I'll handle this, lads. You do the rest of it. And it kind of left Jack Hunt on an island a little bit for a while. So it wasn't the perfect performance from Ross Wallace, but going forward, he did absolutely everything. In terms of running with the ball, in terms of making himself available, in terms of dictating play. He was like a conductor out there. It was a fantastic performance from him, and deserved that he's in the championship team of the week.
Here. And last week we were kind of saying that we were, sort of edging towards the corner that we need to turn, but exactly when we were going to turn that corner, we couldn't really we couldn't see when it was going to happen. It was certainly getting me down last week, and I don't think I'm going to be bold enough to say that we've kind of turned that corner or anything. But I think we've maybe got a bit of sexy lingerie on with one leg provocatively wrapped round the corner.
Woo!
Oh, yeah, little tease you.
Maybe a seductive finger kind of waving suggestively that we should come and have a look, peer around the corner and see what's there.
All I can see is Eddie doing this. That's the worrying thing. He's saying this, but all I see is Edward in his lingerie waving his seductive finger. That's disgusting.
Oh, not again.
You might be seeing it.
You're only human that vision.
Another chap I'd like to have a quick chat about is Bannon. I mean, he could have had 3 himself, couldn't he? He looked like a decent game too.
He's great. He's what I honestly thought when we brought him in. I thought he's going to be a squad player. He's going to be someone that warms the bench and maybe comes in when there's someone injured or when one of the many games where Hutchinson's suspended. But he went straight into the team and he's been probably our most consistent player in the 3 games that he's played in. He's been great, and he was fantastic again on Saturday. He works so hard as well, and I have to remind myself that this guy is only kind of mid-20s, isn't he? I have this thing in my head that he's kind of at the end of his career and we've signed him up on a 1-year contract, but he's still really young, and we need to start thinking about sticking a 3-year deal in front of him pretty soon, because he's seriously putting himself in the shop window with his performances at the moment.
Do you think he's suffering a little bit, though, by the fact that we seem to be a kind of a parallelogram of a team whereby the right flank gets told to just attack, and everything that good comes down that side. And Paul Barry is kind of feeding on scraps and trying to create a good performance, even though he's clearly not the focal point of the team. The fact that he's played so well actually is the measure of the man, that he's kind of stuck out the forgotten man of the team, and he's still managing to catch people's eyes. No,
absolutely. I think you're bang on there, Eddie. And I've noticed a few times throughout the match as well, him sort of pinging the ball backwards down the field to Jack Hunt as well. Therefore, so everybody seems to keep an eye on him and follow him down that side. And then by the time he's gone, there's so much space over there. To me, it's just clever football. I don't know if it's coming from Banham or if that's what he's been told to do by Carlos. But either way, certainly give me a bit of a jolly up this week, ladies and gents. Just seeing what we can do. Of course, Forestieri nodding his first one in. We're all incredibly excited to see him at Hillsborough, but I honestly didn't think his first goal would be a head from a corner. He's the tiniest man on the pitch. But how happy was he when he scored?
He is the happiest man in the world, isn't he?
He certainly is, absolutely. There's certainly been a bit of a change in the mood of Wednesday. I'm sure you guys have noticed that over there too. Obviously, we're back on for...
I don't know what you mean. We're awesome. We're going to win the league. Let's all just bask in this glory. We beat Fulham at home.
But no, it's just nice to see, isn't it?
And one of the things actually that was quite pleasing, like I know Vic just said it was two good teams going at it, etc. Fulham have a few of those big name players, don't they? And obviously, Ross McCormack's top of that list. And I thought he did nothing. If we'd have seen that at the point where we were supposedly offering £10 million for him,
we moan about New Hugh.
No, exactly.
We moan about New Hugh.
New Hugh was
up front
10 times the player. So forget Ross McCormack. I thought Dembele showed that he was a class player. I think he's a few seasons removed from his best now, but I think he gave us some problems at times. I think Jamie O'Hara, and it sticks in the craw a little bit to say this, I thought that he showed probably something that we're missing with Hutch's absence. Somebody who is combative enough to kind of change the game in midfield and win those battles in midfield, but also have that vision to spray balls around. I thought he was very impressive. And like I say, it sticks in the craw a little bit because I don't like Jamie O'Hara off.
No
off
one
the
likes
field.
Jamie O'Hara. Mrs. O'Hara doesn't like Jamie O'Hara. Nobody likes Jamie O'Hara.
Tell you what, though, they've got a good song for him. That song was quality.
It was brilliant. I
missed that. What was that?
All we hear is Jamie O'Hara.
To the tune of Radio Gaga.
That is quite good, actually. To be fair, I'm a fan of a good chant.
That was
all 17 Fulham fans were singing that.
We are good at chants, but I will give them that one. That was a great chant.
One thing I would like to mention before we finish speaking about the Fulham game is Westwood's save right at the end. Of course, we had that crazy 10 minutes, and Westwood did pull, I would say, a 1-to-1 save off right at the death as well, which saved the 3 points for us. So it's nice to have him back, isn't it? Did you feel a bit more secure with Westwood at his back? Did you think he was showing his best, or?
100%. I feel so much more comfortable with him there. As much as, don't get me wrong, Lewis Price and Joe Wildsmith, I do feel a lot more confident with him there, with Westwood there. I think that he's solid. He's absolutely solid. And he has got to be the best keeper in this league. By an absolute mile.
By a mile.
And he could easily outshine probably 15 of the Premiership keepers.
Which ones? Name them. Name those 15.
Sweet face.
It does have to be said as well that last week Joe Wildsmith did actually make it into the championship team of the week as well, didn't he?
He did, and fair play to him. He did very, very well, and he played very well. But Westwood's number one at the end of the day, and that is what we need. And it's like we've said before on shows when we've said, who the hell do we think we are? We think we can keep Kirkland on the bench and Lewis Price on the bench and whoever else. Matt Clark, Pavel Srnicek, all the legends. We do think, their place is on the bench. And for keepers, Sheffield Wednesday has to be a really bloody hard place to go because you really, really have to prove yourself. And I just feel a lot more comfortable with Kieran Westwood there because you can hear him shout halfway up the North Stand. You can hear his voice, and he is so powerful with what he shouts to people that it must resonate on the pitch, and it does make a difference.
He's measurable, isn't he? He's measurably a better keeper than that we've had in a long time. He's measurably a better keeper than the other keepers that we see coming to Hillsborough, and he's measurably better in terms of being, a difference maker in this league, and that's what we need. It's great to have Lewis Price and Pavel Srnicek and everybody else that we have on that bench, but that's all about strength in depth. We've waited so long to actually have this situation where we have got players who are real difference makers, and even if they're taken away from us, we don't just collapse completely and go into a tailspin of 60 feet in a row. We've actually got ready-made replacements who are good enough. And that's wonderful, because a few years ago, Joe Wildsmith would have been our one and only option with just Pavel Srnicek on the bench. And now look at us. It is night and day, and long may it continue.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure it makes the back four feel a little bit better. No disrespect to Joe, but obviously when you got a young lad at the back here, and then you've got Westwood at the back here, I'm sure it makes just a bit more confidence for the players on the pitch as well. Right, so it seems we've actually done some actual reporting on the Wednesday week as well. James, you've been out and about waving your microphone in the air, haven't you, old boy?
Yeah, this is almost journalism, this. A guy called Dave, he comes from Indiana in America, and he came over to see Wednesday in the Fulham game. He comes over about once a season or so to see Wednesday. And I managed to catch up with him in the New Barrack Tavern after the game for a chat. Now, I would just say, please bear in mind that I had a few pints before we had this chat.
That's not like you, old boy.
I apologise for like 3 of those.
Yes. But anyway, yeah, I started off just by asking him how he ended up following Wednesday.
When Johnny Hartz first came over in 90, I believe, I was the first American to come over and have any degree of success over here. And I was a big Hartz fan, and he came over. I began following Wednesday fairly closely at that point, and of course Wednesday put some great teams out back then. And I've followed Wednesday's fortunes anyway ever since.
How many times have you been able to watch Wednesday since?
Oh, golly. I've been coming over to England fairly regularly since 96. I get over once or twice a year for the last 10 years or so anyway.
So your first Wednesday match that you actually watched in person?
In person was Southampton at Hillsborough in 97, 5-0 Wednesday. Whelan had 2, I believe. Soja had 2, and O'Brien.
So how did you feel?
I'm sorry?
2007.
What did I say?
97.
No, I'm sorry, 2007, yeah, for sure. Sorry about that.
How did it feel first time you came to Hillsborough?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Of course, I was familiar with the ground, and I'd talked to some folks, and I've watched my share of English football, but it was the first time I'd gotten a chance to actually get up to Hillsborough. I went onto a website. Some fellows. I went onto a website, a message board, simply asking for directions to Hillsborough from the train station, and some fellows said, "Come on up, come into the Traps. We'll show you around." And had a couple pints with fellows. Watched Wednesday. Had a few more pints with fellows, and I'm still in touch with a lot of them. And get up here when I can.
So how many games would you say you've seen so far?
Of Wednesday?
Yeah.
8, 10, something like that.
So rate today against the other games that you've seen.
Well, it's certainly better than many. 6-0 loss at Reading was a whole lot worse. 5-0 winning at Southampton was probably a little bit better. But this was a good game. I really enjoyed it. I thought Wednesday played fairly well. They deserved the win. I would say of all the matches I've seen, there have been 1 or 2 that were better, but I certainly enjoyed this. It was good.
So what would your hopes be for Sheffield Wednesday? What would you think they're capable of?
Well, you'd like to see them. It's a bit fluid right now, isn't it? I mean, you'd like to think in the near future they'll be flirting with the playoffs, maybe a playoff team in the next season or 2. Your hopes always exceed your expectations. So, maybe in the next few years, you'd hope they'd be capable of going up. Maybe not that they have to go up, but you want them to go out every year, or in the next couple of years, you would hope that they go out and have a chance, give themselves a chance, that you get to the spring and it's still interesting. If they find themselves in an automatic promotion position, that would be fantastic. But if not, you take what you get, regardless. So just hopefully they keep it interesting and give themselves a chance.
Hey, brother, goal shot in the strike zone.
Oh, my God. I love soccer. Soccer's fucking awesome.
And there goes Dave. Pleasant enough chap, James?
Yeah, it was lovely. Actually, it was nice to chat with him. It's a hell of a commitment. Sometimes I struggle to come over from Sharrowvale to see Wednesday when the chips are down a bit. So travelling over from Indiana is it's a hell of a trip.
What was he drinking? Was it something terribly American or?
No, he was drinking proper ale. So, points to him for that. I think that's probably another thing that they kind of struggle to get in some parts of America. So I think he enjoys a bit of the Sheffield ale when he's over here.
Fantastic. So let's crack on then. We're going to have a quick chat about Newcastle. Obviously, we're recording this on the night before, so quite a few of the people that listen now, the Newcastle matches have probably already happened, so you can judge our wonderful pundit skills on exactly what is going to happen. Chaps, what do we think is going to occur there? Do you think Newcastle are going to put out a decent strength side? I mean, they are sort of in need of any kind of a win at the moment, aren't they?
They must be really torn between it at the moment because they have been so abject in the league that they need some good news, and a cup run is always a good way to facilitate something like that. However, why do they need to worry about fighting on another front when what they really need to be doing is desperately bailing out the sinking vessel of HMS Newcastle? So it's going to be interesting to see. I think the team that they'll put out will be stronger than the one that they put out against us in pre-season. I think we might see some first team regulars. However, I've got a feeling that they'll do what most Premier League teams do, which is try and get through the first couple of rounds using the kids, and then when it starts getting serious, then start throwing in some more seasoned campaigners. So I've got a feeling it might be a keenly contested game. And actually, what might be the difference is the fact that the Mighty Owls are taking upwards of 4,000 fans there. So we're going to be making a lot of noise. And if we can get on top of Newcastle early, I actually think that we might kind of win the battle in the trenches, and that might lead to us winning the battle on the pitch.
Will they be able to hear us though? Because I read it's a quarter of a mile from the away end to the goals at the other end of the stadium. A quarter of a mile.
We'll just sing to Kieran Westwood then. Job done.
We need to take megaphones.
I've sat in that away end, literally. This is when I worked at Wednesday as well, so I got staff tickets. I was on the back row of the away stand, as far away as you can possibly be. You've got a beautiful view of the Tyne, like absolutely stunning. You can see all of Newcastle, all lit up, but can you heck as well see the game? It's like watching from the old cameras that they used to have on the floating, like, what they called, like Zeppelin sort of things, on the ground.
The Goodyear
one of those. Yeah, it's horrendous, but it's a really, really good atmosphere. But seriously, do not wear any uncomfortable shoes because it is a hell of a long way up. And tell me, after that result, it was a hell of a long way down as well.
I'm 100% sure that the uncomfortable shoes are not on the list of most Wednesday fans who are thinking of attending the game tomorrow.
You never know.
So yeah, we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the Newcastle setup. But again, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what we put out as well. Obviously, Forestieri has been cup tied, so we shan't be seeing him. Both Turner and what do we decide on? Padil?
Padil.
Poodle. He was even announced at Hillsborough as Poodle. He is Poodle.
Poodle it is. So
can we call him Springer Poodle? And then it kind of brings my dog in. She barks all the way through, so she's part of the show.
Yeah, she does. She's heard more than I am on the podcast. But no, they've both been given permission to play. So. What do you think we're going to see? Is it just going to be a normal squad rotation? Oh, well, we haven't really got a first team yet, have we?
McGugan's playing, isn't he? That was Carlos's big revelation in the press conference. He says that Lewis he's a good player, so high praise indeed. So he's going to be in there, and you've got to assume that by giving him this billing, Carlos is going to make him the focal point as far as our attacking is concerned. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, because it's a big bounce back game for Lewis McGugan. This
I was a little bit annoyed earlier because I was looking at Twitter and a few people who were kind of having a bit of a dig about Carlos changing the team and saying we should stick with the same 11. And you just think, what's the point in us having a squad that's about 84 players strong if we don't play a few of them in games like this? Because there's no pressure on us. We're not expecting to go there and win. And heck, if we don't win, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because we've got one aim this season, and that's to be in the top 6 in the Championship. It'd be nice to make it through to the next round, but I don't think any of us will lose any sleep if we head home tomorrow and we've not won. So I'd probably make quite a few changes for tomorrow and stick some people out there who've got something to prove, who maybe want to stake the claim for a starting place on Saturday or in the next couple of games, and see what they can come up with.
Again, it looks like not only we might see a different team, but we're going to see a bit of a new old kit at Newcastle as well.
I mean, what is this kit? I'm not being funny, but 40 quid and then 20 quid. And it's literally last year's kit with the stripes turned 90 degrees. That's all it is. It's
I'm honestly expecting us
bloody kit.
I'm honestly expecting us to bring out a fourth kit, which is going to be basically QPR's kit with Napoleon's Casino written vertically down the front.
That's all it is. It's as if they had so much fabric left over from last year. They've just thought, well, I'll stitch it other way. 20 quid, they'll not know. We're not stupid, Depchan. You know.
Yeah, I think what's happened there is Mr. Christiani is took on the Yorkshireman's frugal sense, isn't it? We've got a bit left. Well, let's just get it used and save a bit of cash.
To be fair, I'm not going to lose much sleep over the fact that our third kit isn't a tremendous amount of originality. Because let's be honest here, the only reason we've got a third kit is that we've been drawn against a team that plays in A, vertical stripes, and B, one of those stripes is in a colour that is our away kit's colour. So unless we graduate to Champions League against Juventus, I can't imagine it being a huge problem. So that's fine. Let's have a half-arsed third kit. I'm a little bit perturbed by the fact that they then went on the full-on marketing overdrive of saying, get down to the Al's Megastore. We've got all these kits in. They're absolutely fantastic. When, as Vic says, it is just, I'd be surprised if I haven't
Tilt your head. That's all you have to do. Tilt your head.
I think they've probably unstitched the unsold versions of last year. They probably had a few triple XLs left. They just unstitched them, put them back on the machine, turned 90 degrees, and reran them up.
I must admit, I was waiting for the T tweet from Wednesday this weekend to see the third kit. And I was sat with James in the pub when it came through. I was just like, what the hell is this? What is this? I'd rather have had pink string vests just to look a little bit different. But actually, the fact that they've said 2 weeks ago, it was like, oh, it's 40 quid for the third kit. No, it's like, oh, actually, no. We'll admit now, it's the same as last year, but just like tilt your head a bit. It's 20 quid. We'll give you a refund if you need a refund. Like, for God's sake, Wednesday.
I'm sure some of them, hanging at the back of the shop, there'll be some that will say on the front, Chancery, Land of Fire.
Oh no. Jeeves, we're going to need some more equipment.
Then you need to speak to Oddballs, a speciality.
What the?
Oddballs, a speciality deal in steel, food, and engineering equipment.
Where's that voice coming from?
We offer great deals on all types of equipment and can include dismantling, delivery, and erection anywhere in the world.
Did he just say erection?
We can also buy your surplus equipment or sell it on commission. With over 30 years' experience, let us achieve the best deal for you.
Where can I find out more, Voice in the Sky?
Go to www.oddballsaspeciality.com.
You heard him, folks. Jeeves, get a broom. Right, so of course, silly season is back upon us again, and we've started having all the chits and chats about players in and out. The first one we've seen that seems to be a serious rumour is Danny Graham from Sunderland. What do we think about that?
I think most Wednesday fans seem to be quite underwhelmed by Danny Graham. He's not been prolific, has he, for Sunderland? But then again, I don't think anyone's been particularly prolific for Sunderland, so maybe not a massive surprise. I wouldn't oppose him coming here. I don't think he's a huge improvement on what we've got, but he is an extra option. He's the kind of player you imagine that we'd sort of bring off the bench rather than someone that we would start. I would say I did see a tweet the other day that kind of resonated with me with a bit, which kind of said that we've been linked with Gary Hooper, Jordan Rhodes, Vidra. When you're linked with those kind of players, McCormack, and you end up with Danny Graham, it's like the worst Christmas ever.
James, stop being so grumpy. He has got 1 goal in 30 appearances for Sunderland.
He's
what
prolific.
more do you want?
Hey, he's probably
1
better
in
than
30.
Atinu, isn't he? So
well,
bring him on.
You asked that. You put that to Atinu. I dare you.
And I think we've got 1 or 2 others that we've been with as well, have we, Eddie?
Well, yeah. So the interesting one for me, and I absolutely agree with the sentiment there around Danny Graham. It's underwhelming in the extreme. I think if we're going to get a striker from the Premier League, he needs to be one who has shown that while he might not quite be ready for the Premier League, it's certainly the Premier League hasn't passed him by yet. And Danny Graham, I think, he's the player where the Premier League has passed him by completely. The other rumour that's been going around that I've seen is James Wilson, who is a young striker at an up-and-coming club called Manchester United. And he's also, obviously, England 21s. I'm actually really, really excited about James Wilson as a player. He's exactly the sort of player that we should be looking to go for, because he's not one of these rotting in the reserves, kind of, joke afterthought players that a lot of the time will drop down to the Championship from the Premier League. He's actually, fundamentally a player on his way up who needs that big game experience, that first team game experience that's going to enable him to become a better player. You think of David Beckham, playing on loan at Preston as a blueprint, as a template. I think James Wilson is an absolutely brilliant fit for what we're doing at Hillsborough. And I think, having seen him a couple of times for the England under 21s, I think he's a very, very exciting player. So if we can get him on a longer term loan than a till Christmas type thing, if we can get him from now till the end of the season, I will be over the moon, because I think he's a player who can be a real difference maker at this level.
I hate to sound like a New Hugh lover, because obviously I'm not. I hate the guy. I can't stand him. But even if you look at that kid, 4 in 13, is it? 3 in 14, something like that. And, New Hugh's got a point. We all moan, and we do moan about him all the time. But he's scored a hell of a lot more than these players that we're on about bringing in. Why don't we just chill? Everyone just chill and accept, like Forestieri that I called about 8 weeks ago, and New Hugh, that's actually not a bad player. And let's not forget that we've got Zhao on the bench, we've got Lavery on the bench, we've got Sugo on the bench. Like, for God's
No, I
sake.
agree. Look, and I'm coming from this I have a real amount of man love for Atinu. I think that he potentially is the answer to all of our queries. However, I'm going to have to take you up with your data, Victoria, I'm afraid, because yes, he has scored in absolute terms more goals than any other striker, but he's also had many more games than any other striker. So I don't think you can argue, as Ati does himself, to say, no, they bring another striker, I score more goals than the strikers. I am better striker. I will play a striker.
That's the best Ati impression
Casual
ever.
racism for the night.
That's not racism. That's me wanting to be more like Ati, and we all should want to be more like Ati.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, be Ati.
The fact is that what we need from a striker is 20 goals in a season. When Ati Nuhiu scores 20 goals in a season, he then has the entitlement to say what he wants about any other striker. But unfortunately, because he isn't scoring even at a rate that suggests that he's going to get to 20 goals, and I really hope he does, but right now he isn't, I think we're justified in trying something different. And, you don't get to be an England 21 international and on the fringes of playing at Manchester United without having some real potential to be something special. So I think, I absolutely agree, Danny Graham is not the answer, and I would sooner have Ati. But I think if we've got the chance of landing a James Wilson, I think we're honour bound at least to give him a shot.
Can I throw 2 words out there? Chris Eagles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But again, I'm a huge fan of Chris Eagles as well. So there you go.
We're signing this megastar from Manchester United. He has Tweety and Sylvester on his boots. He's incredible. It's Chris Eagles. Yeah. Leave that
Come
there.
on, there were people that were unexcited about us signing Connor Wickham on loan. I think if we can get
it's a different league.
a player with the potential of James Wilson, and if people moan about that, then they're just stupid, because this is a guy that any Championship club would take him on loan. They really would. If we get the opportunity to sign him, then that's absolutely fantastic business. Even if he's not necessarily going to be starting, the options that we've got to bring off the bench to play up front are not good enough. So having someone of the calibre of James Wilson to give us a different option and a different way to win games, because let's remember that at Burnley and at Bolton, we played well, but we couldn't win the game, but we didn't have any options to change it around. We need that kind of player. And to me, the idea of anyone poo-pooing the thought of signing James Wilson, I've never used the word poo-pooing on this podcast before, is just ludicrous, because the guy is... If everything we're led to believe about him is true, he is something quite special.
Don't get me wrong. If we're going to sign the guy that's going to make it, absolutely 100% fine. I'll throw money behind it, whatever. That's fine. I'll buy my bloody third kit if I have to. But until I've seen results, I struggle to see what difference it'll make. And Ati said it himself. He said it, and it is actually true. Who have we brought in that's better than him apart from Connor Wickham? And he was quite happy to say Connor Wickham. He was quite happy to say, he was better than me, whatever. But until we bring in that person, I'm going to be a grumpy old sod like I normally am.
So what you're essentially saying there, Victoria, is that until we have a player on loan who scores more goals than Ati Nuhiu, you don't think we should bring anybody on loan?
No. let's just raid Worksop Town's back lot that are just sat in the reserves, rotting away.
Right, so of course we do have rumours and whisperings about people the other way as well. We've heard rumours, should I say, about Lavery off to Oldham on a loan as well. Do we think that'd be a good thing for him?
It's one of these where we've done this a little bit in the past, haven't we? Where strikers fall out of favour. We get someone normally on loan, and then the guys who have been displaced by the new player go off and try and kind of rediscover their smile at a lower level. And guess what happens? They never actually come back to Hillsborough, or they come back for a bit, make even less of an impact, and then go off on a free transfer. So I really like Keelan Lavery. I think he was the sort of player that we needed, and I still think that he could blossom into something special. However, the writing's on the wall, isn't it? We have obviously gone in a different direction. If he ever pulls on a Wednesday shirt again, I will be surprised.
Fair dues.
Oh, it's really sad.
Because he's a lovely chap. I mean, he's another one of these lovely, smiley footballers. But we are a sentimental bunch, and I think sometimes we need a bit of Eddie sense every now and again, just to give us a clip round the lug oil. Right, so let's crack on then, shall we, and have a little look at the Brentford game coming up too. Brentford seem to be sort of akin to what we're doing at the moment, don't they? Win a few, lose a few, have a bit of a moan, and then how can we see this one going?
It's going to be a really interesting game, this, because I think Brentford this season are a little bit of an unknown quantity. They've lost a couple of good players over the summer. They probably not the force that they were last season. I don't think that they're particularly expecting to be pushing for the top 6, but they would probably like to be up there or thereabouts. From what I can gather, their supporters also wouldn't be surprised if they had a season where they were struggling a little bit. They've got a new manager there, and it's been a bit of a turnover in terms of playing staff. I tell you what, Saturday is a really hard game to call. It could absolutely go one way or the other. We could go there and we could play them off the park and we could win 2 or 3-0. Wouldn't surprise me. It could be a 0-0 stalemate. It wouldn't surprise me. Or they could give us a good walloping and it wouldn't surprise me. I really don't know how to call this one. It is going to be a really interesting game. I think we can go there with a lot of confidence. They did win the last game, didn't they, Brentford? But it wasn't an altogether that convincing performance against, I think it was Preston at the weekend. And they've not really, I don't think their season's kind of really got going yet. I guess they might look at us and say the same. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? This is a proper unknown match as to which way this is going to go.
Yeah, I think that's a spot-on call, to be honest. Brentford are not the team that got within a whisker of having that shot for the Premier League last season. They've had a lot of turnover in terms of players. They look a very different side in terms of the way that they're set up and the way that they play. The results haven't come for them. At the same time, they've still got decent players. They've still got, they're probably still riding a little bit the crest of that wave of being back in the Championship and being able to compete in the Championship. So, yeah, it's an absolute coin toss. If you said to me it's going to be a 0-0, I'd say, yeah, can see that. If you said it's going to be 5-5 with, 3 sendings off, 4 penalties and a dog on the pitch, I'd say, yeah, probably. I'm going there. I'm going to be completely honest with you, listeners and readers, that I'm going there entirely for the crack of the away game. I will be probably so drunk by the time the match kicks off that anything other than just keeping myself vertical on the terraces, perpendicular to the ground, is going to be beyond me. So don't expect too much in the way of insight from me when we reconvene next week after this. But you know what? It's Brentford, which is one of the best away grounds that you'll ever go to as a football fan, but certainly as a Wednesday fan as well. We're going to be on that tiny little covered terrace. We're going to be up close and personal with the action. And even better, having done all four corners of the ground and all four pubs on all four corners of the ground. So I just think it's going to be a real jamboree. This is a real good week to be a Wednesday fan because we've got an away trip to a big, imposing Premier League stadium, test ourselves against Newcastle, and then we've got an away trip down to the capital, to one of the best grounds, one of the cutest grounds that you'll see. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good day, and I really hope that we can build on it from the point of view of performance and points. But honestly, I don't think anyone can prepare and say, if we do A, B, and C, we will win this game. I think this one's going to be a little bit of a crapshoot, and we'll just have to see which way the dice fall.
Can I just ask, at Brentford, on the Kop, are the letters like R and D still written on the stairs? Because that was amazing. It like at Wednesday, you go out and it says it's WFC across the ground.
Yeah.
At Brentford, they'd actually painted it onto the steps in between. That was awesome. This is probably going back 15 years, to be fair, but that was brilliant. That just made it feel so cute and so I don't know. I really enjoyed Brentford away.
It hasn't changed much since. I think there is something that that we miss in modern football now. It very much was part of the experience of going to watch football when I think we were little kids. Brentford is a ground where you kind of go in between a few terraced houses and you come out in between some other terraced houses. And that to me is a proper football ground. And all this out of town next to a B&Q and a multi-storey car park, this is in the heart of its community. And yet it's a bit ramshackle, but it's a proper football ground. And so, yeah, if you're lucky enough to have tickets to get down there, then we're going to have a good day, aren't we?
Watch out for the state that me and Eddie will be in. We may need some kind of prop or someone to lean on, some sort of assistance. Crutches,
I feel bad
they might
for
work.
not being there.
Timber frame, that would do the trick. Anything, really.
Are you going to be joining in the Hoyland family tradition of sleeping under the seats there, James?
If there were any seats to sleep under, I think I have to sleep under someone's foot at Brentford.
Yeah, health and safety warning. Anyone, if you try and sleep on those terraces in Brentford, then it's not a good idea. Really not a good idea.
One thing Brentford do have in their favour is, of course, they don't have a cup match midweek. They were unceremoniously dumped out by Oxford 4-0 first round, weren't they? The Wednesday week is proud to be associated with Cavendish Cancer Care. Cavendish is a Sheffield charity dedicated to improving the quality of life for people living with cancer. No one should face cancer alone, so Cavendish provides emotional support through counselling and complementary therapies. The services they provide are free of charge and are funded through donations. If you can help or would like to find out more information, you can go to www.cavcare.org.uk. That's CAVCARE.org.uk. Right then, so let's crack on with some Wednesday news, shall we, ladies and gents? Who would like to go first?
Oh, you know what? I want to go first, and I'm not usually the first one to speak up, am I? But
Eddie's little bits.
Well, yes, I'd like to talk about that as well, but that's a completely different podcast.
Have we got a doctor in the house?
Do they involve a pig?
It's like embarrassing bodies.
Yeah, pretty much, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about something far more beautiful than my genitalia, and that is the new Sheffield Wednesday home dressing room. Did you see that?
Oh.
On Saturday when they unveiled that? It was like we were suddenly transported into the world of the future, the sort of thing that you see on documentaries about, NFL teams and, public schools and things like that. We seem to now have the bridge of the Starship Enterprise as our home dressing room. This weird semicircular group of benches with lockers behind and stuff like that. It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, Eddie, what I want to know is you're really, really, really posh, possibly posher than the Lord.
No, way.
Do you have a replica of that dressing room in a spare bedroom or a guest room in your home?
Well, since
in the West Wing.
Saturday, I actually want to update my Wednesday shrine. I do have a fully functioning dressing room, complete with full squad of kits hung up, and I choose one to wear every day. Unfortunately, due to budget cuts, I now just have keeper kits. I'm down to Joe Wildsmith and Pavel Cernicek are the only ones that I've got left. So yeah, that's who I'm picking from.
No, it has to be said. I mean, it's nice to see Hillsborough getting We've all seen the refurbishments on the outside, but it looks like we started to work on the inside as well, doesn't it? So it's nice to see the place getting a lick of paint, so to speak. And it does look a little bit fancy, doesn't it?
I just have to ask, Deb-chan, please listen to me, right? I bought a house looking at the North Stand. Please, my God, please. I'm getting married in 2 years. I'll probably want to move in 5-6 years. Please paint the North and South, South Stand and West Stand. Please paint it, and it might put up my value, because at the moment all I can see is crowbars. Crowbars stuck out of concrete. I don't want that.
It's got personality.
No,
absolutely.
No, it doesn't. It looks
rustic.
out of my attic.
Go and live near Derby's ground or something.
Isn't it a listed building as well? I don't
care.
They're allowed to do much to it. No, true.
Even if, right, Deb-chan, if you want to print like a decal for my window of a beautiful stadium that I can show people around my house and go, yeah, look at what you look out at. That's fine. But at the moment, all I can see is crowbars.
Hillsborough is a beautiful stadium, my dear.
You could get a house next to the New York Stadium for a couple of grand easy.
That's true.
That'll sort you out.
Absolutely.
Just paint this side. I'm not asked about the rest of it. Just paint this side, please.
How good is it, though, that basically it seems that the Chancery plan is just arbitrarily deciding that he's going to completely overhaul bits of our operation and not telling anyone that he's going to do it. It's
not
like literally, wake up one Saturday and you've got a new dressing room. It's awesome. How fun is that? I really
my
hope
little bits need sorting.
Well, no, I know the little bits need
sorting. My little bit.
I would. You know what? I guarantee you that at some point this season, it'll be like a Tuesday night match in February, and everyone will walk in, and on the cop, he's put like a full-on retro arcade with just Street Fighter 2 machines, Outrun, Pac-Man, the whole lot, and it'll all be free. And they'll just do
it. Will it not say Sheffield Wednesday anymore as I walk the dog at night?
That's brilliant. But no, it's nice to see spending some money on the old dear. Bless her. What else we got for the Wednesday news this week, boys and girls?
Right, I've only got one thing which
Have you only got one little bit?
I've only got one little bit this week.
Is it a very tiny bit?
I need to see a doctor. Which was this is a story that I've seen posted on a few different websites and stuff, and I'm not really sure what I think of it, but it kind of made me smile and made me giggle a bit. That apparently we tried to sign Dimitar Berbatov in the summer.
Okay.
Now that was similar to my reaction. Apparently we made an inquiry. It turned out his wages were too high. Do we believe this? What's going on? Is this similar to when we rang Ipswich and said, your top scorer from last season, can we have him on loan? Is this a similar situation?
I think when David Greedo shot us down about 10 million for Ross McCormack, we can pretty much scrap any idea of Berbatov, Messi, Ronaldo, any of that. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
I think at the moment, Mr. Chancery is a bit like a teenager who's just passed his driving test. He's right. I've passed my driving test. I've got my football club. I'm going to
have a subwoofer.
I'm going to have I'm going to buy myself the best car I can. And then you look at wherever the young ones are driving these days, your Subarus and whatnot, and then you think, fantastic. And then you see how much the insurance is, and you think, yeah.
So what you're effectively saying is that the Subaru Impreza is your Dimitar Berbatov.
Absolutely.
And what we've settled for is a Danny Graham, who's basically just a subwoofer inside a 1.1 litre Clio.
Absolutely. We can afford the Subaru, we just can't afford the insurance. Honestly, I am wasted with you guys. I really am.
Brilliant. What an analogy.
I would just point out, by the way, it was reported by The Sun, so how reliable it is.
Nonsense, then. Absolute nonsense. Another little bit of news, ladies and gents, is Daryl Latchman has been found alive and well and playing the under-21 squad. Unfortunately, they did get a bit of a spanking, 4-0 to Charlton, so he's knocking about, ladies and gents, but it doesn't seem to be sort of pushing for the first team at the moment, does he?
Worst school exchange visit since Rod.
Fantastic. Victoria, I believe you have an announcement of sorts.
I do. I just want to thank the National Citizen Service who are at Hillsborough. They've been there all summer. We have the biggest NCS school in Sheffield, above everyone else, and they have raised £3,600 for Cavendish Cancer Care.
Fantastic.
And that is absolutely incredible. My colleague Mike went there tonight to go and talk to them at their graduation ceremony, and I know because he's texted me saying it was a very, very emotional affair. Everyone is so proud of what they've done, and they've done bag packing at Marks and Spencer's. They've done bucket shaking. They've done everything. They've been incredible. So a huge thank you to Matt Bray and Sheffield Wednesday and everyone else that's been involved. They've been fantastic. $3,500, guys. From 16-year-olds who have signed on to a course for a bit of a laugh and ended up raising $3,500 for a local charity that supports people with cancer in Sheffield. What amazing, amazing kids. And they've worked so, so hard. And there was one guy at Owls in the Park who was just incredible. And they've come up with so much stuff for us. They've done fundraising. They've done everything. They've been amazing. So thank you so, so, so much. And I hope their parents are so proud of them because they've all been incredible.
Fantastic. Jolly well done. Right then, ladies and gents, I think that just about wraps us up for this evening. Edward, where can people find you on the social media risers?
So, for social media types, I am at Sausage Arms on Twitter. For those of you that exist in real life, you can find me very, very high, suffering from altitude sickness tomorrow night at Newcastle, and Saturday suffering from the opposite of that on the world's smallest terrace at Brentford.
Fantastic. Victoria, my dear, where can people find you?
I am at Victoria1867 on Twitter. I've got a lot of followers already who've come through since this podcast, and it'd be great to talk to more of you, so get in touch.
You don't mean that. James, where...
I ignore most of you, I'm not going to
lie. James, where can people find you over there?
They can find me on Twitter at James Marriott, which is RRT. I don't have a lot of followers on Twitter, so follow me, not Victoria. And similarly, I will be at Brentford with Eddie. I believe that we're going to be pre-match in the Globe, which is going to be we'll probably be in all four pubs on all four corners, but certainly the Globe is the one that will be the most of. So if you're in there, keep an eye out for us and say hello.
And if you see James or indeed Eddie waving the phones about and you'd like to have a chat for the podcast, I'm sure James will be in a wonderful state to do that for you.
Yeah, well, we're actually doing an almost historic link-up with some guys from a podcast called Besotted, which is a Brentford podcast. So we're going to be meeting up with them before the match, and I think they do quite a lot of vlogging. So there may be some videos that come out of this. So watch this space. They may be quite amusing. I may be able to get hold of them and maybe get a link for Wednesday week listeners as well.
Fantastic. Of course, you can follow me over there on the Twitter as well. That's at Lord H. That's L0RD_H. You can follow the podcast at TWWcast. Of course, you can get us over there on Facebook as well. And email us, twwpodcast@gmail.com. And if you are downloading us on iTunes, please do leave us a review, 5 stars. It would be very, very nice of you. And it'll help other Wednesdayites find this show. Like us on Facebook. Get the names out there, and obviously we'll get more people in. Clearly, we don't charge anything for the podcast. We're not making any money. It's a fans podcast for the fans. So please do spread the word. Right, that's it then, ladies and gents. Thank you ever so much for joining us as always. Be good, be safe, and we shall see you real soon.
chance here, a great save. A turner from McClare. Might come. A terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brentford against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving that.
And the other thing is, of course, Kirtland did make a cracking save towards the end as well, which really did keep that 3 points.
Which game were you watching?
Was it in 2010? Or?
If there's one thing that made the difference to us against Fulham, it was that Kevin Pressman had an unbelievable game in the net.
I thought when Andy Hinchcliffe came off the bench, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And when O'Neill Donaldson scored the third, that was brilliant.